forever, that if everybody come to church and was honest, then we'd have church. And that's what this tonight's about, is just worshiping God and being honest. And so if there's something that you need to lay down at the feet of Jesus, tonight is a great night to do it. Jackie's going to come tonight and give a testimony. And just welcome, Jackie. This lays heavy on his heart. Welcome.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi. I'm used to being on the other end of these things. I've got a helper tonight. He wanted to be here, and I'm going to give him his first instruction. Is when I speak sometimes, this room gets dusty, and I get tears. So when you see that, you give me one of those, okay? Okay? Huh? No, let me get my notes out. Don't get tied up here. First off, this is going to be a kind of a three-part testimony. I'm going to give first part of it, and then Penny's going to tell things I don't remember. And then Cindy's got a part of her and Ryan also. So y'all just kind of bear with us. I promise we won't be too long. But before I get started, Tim, would you mind doing prayer? Okay. I was fortunate to be born in a Christian family, but I had a daddy who was pretty strict, and he when he said something, it's what he meant. So I was very fortunate in that. I didn't think it at that time, but if he told me to unload the truck of bags of feed, because he was on 4 to 12 shift, and he come in at midnight and it wasn't unloaded, my butt was down there in the barn at midnight unloading that truck, and I had to use my little red wagon to get it all down there. But I was very fortunate in all that. I had a mother that was just, there was not a loving mother any better around. But go on from that. I was a long time, getting hit in the head by, this is where you need to be. I wasn't following God's orders. I wasn't doing what I should be. I drank quite a bit. People didn't know that because I hid it. But I did drink a lot. I fortunately never tried drugs. I just had no desire. A good cold beer was good to me. I was happy. The good Lord blessed me in later years with Penny. I'll skip a lot and go straight to her. And if it hadn't been for this blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl, I don't know what I'd done. Yeah, one of those. Good job. Good job. I was testing him. Hope I didn't get nothing on that. Sorry, Derek. But Penny brought me around. Of course, I started going to church with her because she was there. You know, I didn't enjoy church at where I was going and just didn't go unless Daddy made me. But I had a good excuse by going with Penny, and so that's how I kind of got started there. Later years, we got married, and the good Lord blessed us with two of the best girls we could ever have. You all know one of them pretty good. The other one just the same. She gave me this boy, which, you know, I love my granddaughters, but I kept telling them, don't be quitters. Give me that boy. You see what I got beside me, don't you? He's my buddy. I spent about probably, 6 weeks with him after he was born. I went over to her house in Versailles every day and helped her with him. You know, I fed him, I rocked him, I did everything. And it just, him and I became close at that time. And then we got these granddaughters, because you know both of them, especially this one, she's, of course, turned into, I don't know, a farm girl, which really surprised me, be honest with you, but she likes it. And this one over here, she's got an artistic talent like you all ain't never seen. I mean, some of you, Tim and Crystal, can vouch for her. Some of you have seen it. I've got paintings hanging on my wall that she's done, and she's just thrilled me so much with what she gives me at Christmas. She comes up with something. So for that, I thank you too. So, but anyway, Penny and I were going to Pioneer for several years, and I mean, I just wasn't getting it. I really wasn't. And later on, I lost my job, and we moved to Carrollton. I started with KU. I was there 6.5 years, I think it was. I'll hold it back this time, Derek. But we was up there 6.5 years, went to church, but like I said, once again, didn't mean much to me. We were able to move back in 89, I think it was.
Before that.
Yeah.
5, 6.
Yeah. Cindy and Becky both were born up there, so. But anyway, we were able to move back, and I started down at the Tyrone Power Plant outside of Lawrenceburg. And I started getting a little more serious. We kind of checked out some churches in, and we came out here. I always said I didn't want to interfere with Derek's ministry in any way, so we just wouldn't come. But something kept hitting me in the back of the head, saying, "Stupid, you need to be out there. I want you to go visit." So we came out here and Hanging of the Greens, and you all have never seen such a service. People come from all different churches just to see it, and that's what started us out here, and we've just been rejoiced the whole time. I got to brag on my son-in-law, not because he's kin, but he's very good. I got two of the best son-in-laws you could ever have. Hard workers, everything. I mean, they just did it all. So, and they helped me when I needed. You know, I helped them some later years ago, and now they're paying me back, and I really do appreciate it. But by the way, I just thought of something. Where's John? Stand up. And the two female singers. Gina, yeah. I don't know if y'all noticed, but they have on leopard pants. Where's yours? That's a good place for them. I told Penny I was going to say that. She shakes her head. But y'all ain't seen nothing yet what I'm going to do. But I guess we'll just go on to when I went in, started getting sick and went into the hospital. I mean, I was out of my mind. I really was. And it was all due to, I had developed high ammonia in my liver. And that's cause of that sodium. And then also I had a, what do you call it, a UTI. And those combinations just kind of did me in. So I'm going to let Penny kind of say a few words here. He's working on it.
Okay. Right. Okay. All right. I'm just going to tell a little bit of the details of what happened.
I made her keep it short.
Yeah, I've got several pages, but I said I wasn't going to read them all. Just kind of what happened, so because it contributes to what he ended up, decision he made. It was the Tuesday after Christmas on December 29th. Jackie woke up dizzier than he had ever been before. Every time he stood up, he was dizzy. He couldn't hardly walk without being dizzy. And he finally, by lunchtime, agreed that we could take him to Baptist Health, to the ER. So Cindy and I took him over there. He was starting to get kind of confused a little bit then, too. He was saying really weird things that didn't make any sense and wasn't acting himself. But then I had to leave him there in the ER. I told him when we went in that he was being dizzy, but apparently that message didn't get related to the ER doctors, and they tested him for everything except blood pressure and dizziness. They didn't test any of that. I finally got to come in, and they're saying, well, we tested him all out, and everything looks good. He was like, he can go home. I'm like, go home? He's not himself. He's still dizzy. And they're like, dizzy? He never told us that. So then it was like, more testing, you're not going home, you're staying. So he got admitted, and it was the ammonia in his liver, because he's got cirrhosis of the liver. And the ammonia kept building all night. It kept building, and it got, and number-wise, it got over 200, and that's supposed to maybe can put you into a coma. And it never got quite that high before they got it under control, but during that time that it was going up, they admitted him into a room, and he got aggressive. He wasn't himself. He was all confused, didn't know what he was doing. He got aggressive, hit out at a nurse, and when he hit the nurse, they said, okay, that's it. They tied up his hands to the bed. They tied his feet to the bed, and it was already his worst nightmare because he couldn't get up. He was on fall alert, so you can't even get out of the bed without somebody coming to help you. Well, they also tied him up. So they called me at 5 in the morning, the nurse did, just to let me know, so I wouldn't be shocked when I got there, what had happened, and they had him tied up. And when I come in, he was begging them to untie him. And his mind was still getting worse and worse. He didn't know what he was doing. He don't remember any of this. You don't even remember that first day of getting dizzy or anything. None of that he remembers. And they said he was just begging and begging, and he kept begging, untie me, and he pulled, and he was begging to let him loose. And when the doctor come in, I was convinced that he would be calmer if he was untied now. If you just untie him, I know he's going to be calmer. He just can't stand this. So the doctor made the decision, yeah, we'll try it. And so they untied him. He was like, oh, he's so thankful. He's being so nice. And he gets up, and for a few minutes he's okay. And he sits back down, and then he decides he wants to stand up. And I said, no, you can't do that. Oh, yeah, that's right. And then he decides again, and I can't stop him. And he starts standing up. And we had a sitter. He was in such a bad shape. We had a sitter that sometimes would just sit outside the door. So there was always somebody there for him. And she come running in, and he pushed her. And then I'm trying to calm him down because I know what's going to happen. They're going to tie him back up. And so I'm saying, no, calm down. And he pushes me, and he's just standing there going, stand up, because he didn't know what he was saying. And then he finally tired out. Oh, in the meantime, there was a code alert. I forget what it's called, but it was some big alert that comes over the whole hospital, and everybody comes running. and security comes running, and everybody's coming, and he calms down. They won't touch him. They're afraid of him. They said he's a big guy, and they wouldn't touch him. And he finally sat down, and they took me out of the room and to calm me down too, while they had to tie him back up. And we made it through that. That was Tuesday. Wednesday, they still had him tied up, and then they finally were giving him a sedative. Oh, it's on Thursday. They finally started giving him a little bit of sedative, and he finally calmed down enough that he slept a whole day, because the ammonia level was getting better, but he was still out of it. He doesn't remember anything of this, because he was not himself. He was very agitated, mean, just pulling and pulling and pulling. I saw him wake up one time, and he didn't see me watching him, and he was just kind of pulling and pulling. For half an hour, he kept pulling, trying to get loose. And they gave him enough sedative that he went to sleep, and all day on New Year's Day, he went to sleep New Year's Eve. They said he had a rough night, but then he did go to sleep finally. He slept all day New Year's Day. And that night, he woke up a couple of times during the day, just briefly. And that night, he finally woke up, and they asked him those questions to find out if he's in his right mind. And they asked him what year it was. And that was a tricky question. He didn't know.
I didn't know. I was asleep New Year's Eve.
Yeah, he didn't know what year it was. So I don't know that he got that one right, but he got the others right. So he was finally calming down. And the next day, he was 75% back to himself. And that was Saturday. He still wasn't quite there on Sunday, but we both convinced the doctor that he'd be better at home. He could heal better at home, because he was coming back to his mind. He could do things like take care of his insulin pump and things like that. He could do those things again, because he couldn't do it. He couldn't even, when he was out of it, he couldn't operate the remote to the TV. He couldn't do any of those things. Couldn't operate his phone. None of that stuff he could do. But he could finally do that again. So they let him come home. Well, we didn't realize, because he was getting better that day. He was tired, but he was getting better. But we didn't realize till Monday morning that something still wasn't right, as he started losing his strength Monday morning. Now, he's incontinent. He couldn't control his bladder. He was going through that too. But they said that the hospital, they thought it was just bladder spasms. Well, that continued on Sunday night and Monday, and his strength kept getting worse and worse. And I couldn't get him up out of his chair. I had called Derek. Derek come, and he couldn't even get him up. We called Thomas Tribble, Thomas and Olivia come, and they finally were able to get him up. Got him into bed. Becky come later, and she and I were trying to take care of him, and I was scared. I was very anxious. I needed somebody there with me. And then we couldn't get him out of the bed. He was rolling out. We couldn't do it. So we had to let him fall gently to the floor and called Derek and Thomas to come back to get him up. And then we had Scott and Cindy come over. Debbie Gordon came, and because we needed help from a nurse, and she said call the doctor's office, the on-call, and they said the best thing to do is call an ambulance to come get him. And we took him to Hagen. As he said, he was not going back to Baptist Health. He would not go back there. So, we thought he left too early from Baptist Health, but if he hadn't left early, they would have caught the UTI, and I don't think he would have had the good care that he had at Hagen. Because once we got into Hagen, and the doctor there had actually had 10 years of experience at UK doing nothing except taking care of cirrhosis of the liver. I mean, we couldn't have got a better doctor. God provided the doctor that knew all about the illness that he had. But he had a UTI because at Baptist Health, the way that they had handled him, he had gotten a UTI there, and this doctor knew exactly what to do to help it get it better and to take care of his cirrhosis of the liver because he still had some high ammonia level. So he was still out of it again because of the UTI. It can cause you lose the strength, which he lost more strength than he did when he was at Baptist Health. He was actually gaining strength back from Baptist Health, but now he lost all his strength. He couldn't feed himself. He couldn't walk. He couldn't do anything, and he was confused again with that and with the ammonia level. He lost his appetite by the next day. By Wednesday, he lost his appetite. So he wasn't hardly eating anything. Started getting a little bit more strength back, but by Friday, he got confused again. I think maybe the ammonia level went up again. He had a whole lot of confusion on Friday. He said something. What?
Hurry up.
I'm trying. He said strange things like Becky was there with him that day, and he said he could see Derek in his eyes, and just all kinds of strange things he was saying. But then I got special permission to come stay with him that night, and he got calmed down. And he then on Saturday, he was better. Sunday, he was more agitated, wanted to go home. But he didn't get home until Monday. Monday, he finally got to come home. And during all this time, though, on Saturday and Sunday was when we've got something special that Cindy's going to share with you, because he was still going through so much and was so agitated. But I also wanted to add real quick the thank you to all of our family. Everybody helped so much. All of our immediate family and Jackie's sister and brother, and my sister and brother, and Thomas and Sophie and Debbie Gordon, and so all of our church family and all the prayers. And there was people praying for us that we didn't even know, because it all spread out. And big thank you to God for answering all of our prayers. But like I said, Cindy has something to share now.
Wait a minute.
No?
I want to explain a couple of things. Number one, that nurse I pushed was a male nurse. And he was about 6'5", I don't know. But he was a big fella, had a big ponytail. And ain't no way I would have hit it, that man. I'm telling you right now. And I wouldn't even think about pushing this one over here. As I sleep with her, she could take me out. But I found out which nurse it was. And I told him, I said, man, that wasn't me. I said, I really apologize. And he said, it's just part of the job. And I said, well, I sure appreciate you thinking that way. So Cindy's got a quick thing she wants to say. Well, yours comes first. You do that song first. Okay, I'll tell about it. While I was in the hospital, and I mean, I was really bonkers, guys, a lot more than normal. But Cindy had a college roommate. Huh?
You're going to tell about your ministry.
No.
Not yet.
That's last. All right. Well, I'll tell about that then.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. We did not plan this. We did not prepare, evidently. So a friend of mine who I went to college with, I haven't seen her in years. I'm almost 40, so it's been 20 years since I was in college, but she lives 2 hours away. We see each other when we can, talk when we can, but it's not very often. But out of the blue, and I'm going to read one of her text message. She texted me and she said, so out of the blue today, while getting out of the shower after a brilliantly off-key praise and worship session, I thought about your dad. How's he doing? And this was in the middle of all this going on. And so I told her, I said, you know, it's a bit prophetic that you asked me about him today, of all days. I said, because he's not well. I said, the liver disease, it's bad. And she said, oh my goodness. She was like, I'm so sorry. That was definitely God then that put him on my heart. She said, twice today, from 2 hours away, I just thought about him. She was like, I don't know why. She was like, I haven't seen him in 20 years. And I mean, yeah. And I mean, it's my dad, so it's not like she spent a lot of time with him either. She was like, but you know, I've been praying a lot about speaking to God about healing and about intervening for people in prayer. And she was like, I'm going right now to pray for your dad. And she later that night, she texted me, and she said while she was praying, she said, "The Lord showed me bright, clean blood flowing through your dad's liver. He told me Jesus is the lifeblood and that Jesus doesn't need dialysis. He can clean the blood instantly. He is pure and holy. Jackie is a temple of the Most High God. He is his child and an heir of righteousness. The devil has no place. Sickness and disease cannot stay, for the blood of Jesus has paid for his healing." And she told me, she said, "When I pray for your dad, I have streams of cry streams." She was like, big, ugly, knot in your throat crying. She's like, "I know God is doing something." And, I even talked to her on the phone because she knew how upset I was about things too. And I never told Dad this, but I kind of felt like God was telling us that he's in control and he will take care of him. And I kind of felt like it was maybe his time and that God was telling us that it's okay because he's his. But she told me, she said, "Cindy, I really don't feel that. I feel like he wants to heal him." She was like, "There's just something. I feel like he wants to heal him." Now, I'm not saying that we know that all of our days are numbered and only God knows. I could go before him. You never know. And so we're not saying that something won't happen. But she was like, "I feel like he wants to heal him." And then she told me, she said, "God gave me this song that I feel like he wants your dad to hear and to know." And we actually played, or Mom did, because I couldn't be there in the hospital. We played this for Dad while he was still not thinking straight. But just listen to the words. And we really feel like this was God's prayer, or not prayer, but God's words to Dad and to others who are suffering, whatever you may be suffering through.
He was actually asleep.
Is this one? Okay, it's working. Okay. A few things I want to say. This is the tough part. Penny come in to see me, and I begged her, please take me home. Well, during that night before, and I can't explain it, it felt like I was hanging upside down. And I begged God, I said, "God, please take me. Please, I've hit rock bottom. I can't go no further. I'm whipped." What'd that song say? He said, "I'm broken." Yeah, I said, "I'm broken." That song said, "I'm broken." I didn't know about the song at that time. So they played that, and I guess I did hear it in a way, but I wasn't asleep, or I was asleep when it happened. But anyway, that was when Penny come in. So Penny come in, I just begged her. I said, "Penny, please take me home. I can't stand this place no more. Please." I was crying, I was begging, I was doing everything I could do. I wanted to get out. And, it's just, I can't explain any of it other than God's work. But God told me when I was begging to him, he said, no, I heard his words. Guys, I heard him speak. He said, "I'm not done with you. You still have a mission." So, I had no idea. Well, there was this lady in the hospital that 24 hours a day, she was help me, I need a drink, help me somebody. 24 hours, which I didn't get upset. I felt sorry for the old lady. And Becky heard it. And it's just, I felt so bad, but then it hit me. These people need help. There's a world of people out there that that can't afford these things, or even plain walkers. And they need help. They may not have Medicare, they can't do it. You know, it's just different situations. But I talked to the deacons and elders last night, and we're going to use part of the basement for right now. And we're going to just store some things that people donate, to us. And then if we hear of somebody, I'm letting the senior citizens, I'm letting these home nurse carers, I'm letting all them know we've got this. Here's the CO, chief officer for us. He got excited, and he is already started a design of a brochure we want to make up. Cindy's going to help me with that. But with help like this, how can I fail? He's just this young man. He's great, aren't you? Uh-huh. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say. If any of y'all, there's a world of people have these items in their basements or wherever in storage, and they don't know what to do with them. But if you have anything that's of course something that's broke, we'd probably have to shy away from. But if you have walkers, whatever you have, if you just let me know, and we can get them picked up and bring them out here to church, it would be a great ministry for us. So that's what our ministry is going to be, is that. That's what God was trying to tell me. Yeah. Yeah, today the physical therapist said there's really a big need for all this. I mean, even diapers for men, which, there was a time, I had to stand up. There was a time I used to joke with Penny. I said, I could put one of those diapers on. I wouldn't have to get up and go to the bathroom. Well, let me tell you something. They ain't near as much fun as I thought they'd be. You might need that. But anyway, that's all I've got. Yeah.
You know how people in hospitals are struggling, including in the time of the coronavirus. So I say we pray for them. Dear God, please help these people that are in the hospital, and please help them to come back home to their families who miss them. Amen.
Amen. I hope we didn't bore y'all too much, but have you got any more?
Not right now.
I think we've pretty much been through it. And Brian, great job, buddy. Y'all don't know what a prayer warrior he is. Man, he's something else. Okay. Yeah. Derek, I guess I'll turn it over to you. Let me turn this thing off.
Jackie, I want to tell you something. You stick to you. I can't remember because I've been in that shape, and I didn't remember. But it might be in your best interest, especially when you push penny. Say I don't remember. Stick to it. That's right. I was going to give my testimony, but after that, I ain't going to give it. I do want to tell you all something. I told this a lot of times at night. I mean, people know it. But there was a point in my life, I was a deacon in the church. And I always wondered, was I really saved or not? And I thought about it. I had a little girl. I was a deacon in church. But I really didn't know, was I really saved? But I wanted to know, it's too big a thing to waste, to take a gamble on. You don't want to face eternity saying, am I really saved? So I remember I went out to my barn, and I got down on my knees one night. Let me go back and tell it. Darrell Kelly, when I was a young man, I was in 8th grade. He told me, he said, Ricky, the age of accountability, you gotta know you're saved. He said, if we died right now, we ain't never got saved. He said, we'd go to hell. I didn't want to go to hell. So we went down that night, me and Darrell Kelly. Neither one of us got saved. In order to be saved, you gotta know you're lost. But we didn't know we was lost. We was just looking for fire insurance. So anyway, I grew up in that church, and I got to be a deacon in that church. Then all of a sudden one night, I had Jennifer, and something about having a child makes you realize things, When I had Jennifer, I started to thinking, I said, am I really saved? So anyway, I went out in the barn, and I wasn't no preacher around or nothing. I went out in the barn, and I said, Lord, forgive me my sins, and confess my sins. And I said, Lord, I don't know if I'm really saved or not. I bowed down on my knees, and when I got up, I said, Lord, don't let me go through this. I said, Lord, if I'm not saved, save me, Lord. But I said, I want to pray this prayer until you save me, and don't ever let me down again. You can be saved and not doubt it, because I'm that way. I did that for about a year. All summer, I went out to the barn and I prayed. Gina didn't even know I was doing it. I dropped on my knees and I say, Lord, forgive me my sins and come into my heart, Lord. When I was at church, when I did that, I went down front. The reason I doubted myself because the preacher told me, said, do you realize your hope was lost since then? And of course I was up in front of everybody. I said, yes, I do. I didn't. You say anything in front of people. But I didn't. I didn't realize. But I went up front and I got baptized. they sprinkle me with water. You could be immersed or sprinkled, either one there, sir. So I got sprinkled. Gina thought that was funny. She said, all you're doing is getting that dandruff wet. But anyway, I went out there and prayed, and I kept on praying. About a year went by. And I've always wondered why that was. But you know, some people come down to the altar and drop down on their knees and accept Christ their Savior, and it's real. But I tell you what, it wasn't that way with me. I had a preacher one time tell me, that ain't the way it works. It worked that way for me. But I tell you what, I finally got up from my knees and I felt saved. And I ain't never doubted again. That's been years ago. Darrell Calvin said he did the same thing. I don't know what he did, but he got saved later on. But me and him, neither one got saved that night. Because we both just looking for fire insurance. I tell you what, old Darrell Calvin meant a lot to me. Because he made me question my salvation. And if you're here tonight and you don't know if you're saved or not, don't question it. It's too big of a gamble to gamble on. You need to know that you know. I used to go to church with Darrell Calvin. Like I told you all, he meant a lot to me because he told me one time when I was young, he told me, he said, this was after he got saved, he said, he goes to the altar every Sunday. Darrell told me one time, said, Ricky, I know them old women are talking about me and people